Dr. Anna Maria Helt, herbalist and microbiologist, here with part 13 of our Rocky Mountain Plant Walk. So the last one in the series that I filmed late last May and I believe late last June, early July in the Southern Rockies, looking at some of our great, useful, and beautiful medicinal plants. So wrapping it up with two of my favorites, Padicularis and Wild Rose. And here we go.
Padicularis. The last time around in May when I brought you here virtually, we saw Padicularis, but it wasn't blooming yet. I believe I did talk about medicinal uses at that point, so I'm not going to get into that again now. But they've continued to grow, obviously, and I was hoping that I would catch one in bloom. Sometimes it can be a bit early right now in June, and they don't bloom till July. It really depends on the season. So this is one of the multiple species of Padicularis that we have here in the Rockies, otherwise known as lousewort as well. I, for whatever reason, just call it Padicularis, the genus name. Here's a little baby one just getting going. A whole bunch here in the background that have their flowering stalk shooting up. Some over there as well. So for these bigger louseworts, Padicularises, I don't harvest the flowers. I just use the leaves because you usually, at least so far, here in my neck of the woods, this is still a pretty plentiful plant. If you start heading south towards the Albuquerque area where the herbalist Dara Seville lives, these used to be more common in the riparian areas there, but it's going away as the climate is shifting. And Dara teaches a lot on Padicularis. You can learn more about that from her. She's a great teacher. So this is, again, Padicularis lousewort. I use the leaves because you can just pull a leaf off of each plant. They're big leaves. You can get quite a bit of medicine just walking around. I mean, you can't even see it here, but this whole little area is full of Padicularis. So you can just harvest the leaves. Smaller species of Padicularis, we're not high enough up in elevation to see those, but ones like elephant head, I'll use the whole aerial plant, the bloom as well as the stalk, as well as the leaves, because it's just not a gigantic plant. The leaves are pretty small. But with these bigger ones, I use the leaves. And to be honest, I tend to harvest these bigger ones at this point rather than the smaller, more delicate elephant's head Padicularis, just because you don't have to, basically stop the plant from procreating. You're not picking it in flower, you're just harvesting the leaves. So Padicularis, again, I'm pretty sure I talked about medicinal uses of this. It's a great muscle relaxing, pain killing herb, useful for arthritis. It's calming. It can have some wacky effects mentally, or mentally speaking, I guess, for some people. So start with a low dose if you've never used this before. I like to smoke it, and I feel like it's a great herb for heartbreak. But again, like I said, I think I already talked about it during the May section of this video. I just wanted to show you it as it was starting to bloom. Continuing my journey down La Plata Canyon, out of the La Plata Mountains. Here's the La Plata River. So it's good to see some water flowing around here. I'll just show you upstream and then up to some of the peaks again. So I'm driving down the dirt road in the canyon. This is a great way for people to get access to seeing high elevation plants who maybe, like me, have a torn hip or for other reasons can't do a lot of hiking. You can actually drive right up to the top of some of these peaks here. Now, I'm going to cross the street as I hobble because there's a plant here that I was hoping to find in bloom. Here's elder. That's not the one I was looking for, but an awesome plant. And that's, here we go, the sun's shining in there. There's a big elder bush, but that's not why I'm wandering in here. I'm going to walk down the road just a little bit here. There's another elder not blooming, and we're going to see wild rose, Rosa woodsii, behind some mountain parsley. So here is our rose, and they're relatively simple flowers compared to the roses you might be used to seeing at the florist, but they smell divine. So don't let the somewhat simplicity of the flower fool you. Now this is a little baby wild rose. There's actually a bigger one just down a little bit more, but it's not in bloom like this one is. And so you can use wild rose. Here goes the car behind me. One of the problems with doing this on the road here in the canyon. Anyway, you can use this just like you would any other rose. So the flowers are a great gentle astringent for loose stools, for heavy menses, for even childhood diarrhea. It's gentle enough for that. Chronic loose stools, or loose stools due to infection, because one of the great things about rose is it's antimicrobial. So it helps us deal with unwanted bacteria in the system. And in fact, in terms of those antimicrobial properties, let me put this up here. In terms of those antimicrobial properties, Nostradamus supposedly used rose petals to treat people during the bubonic plague, So rose, he did rose pastilles apparently, according to legend. So anyway, aside from infections, whether GI tract related or external, rose is also great for things like burns. There is an astringency there, and that astringency can help that burn to heal. It can help with rashes and wounds and such for similar purposes. Now, in terms of emotional stuff, rose is great for the heart. It's great for heartbreak, and it's used for depression, rose petals specifically. And I would argue it's good for the physical heart as well. Just a couple different uses for the petals. The hips are also great medicine. We don't have any hips yet, but here are some that are starting to grow after the plant has bloomed. So if you look underneath here with the flower, you'll see the ovary, kind of that bulbous green thing. And then that is an ovary. Where is it? There we go. That is now developing. There's been fertilization and it's turning into a rose hip. So we don't have any hips out right now, but rose hips are a great source of vitamin C and other nutrients, very antioxidant rich and anti-inflammatory. Rose hips are wonderful for inflammation along the GI tract, heat, irritation, inflammation. It's a great, simple, nutritious tea, or you can make a syrup out of it that rocks, and you can use it in recipes, salad dressings, and such. Rose hips are another great botanical to turn to if you have allergies, especially seasonal allergies. So it usually finds its way into my formulas, or I'll even use it as a simple for allergies. So another antihistamine herb. Histamine is one of the inflammatory culprits that cause the symptoms of allergies, the sneeziness, is that a word? Sneeziness, and the weepiness in the eyes, the inflammation, all of that kind of stuff. Rose has quite a few other beneficial properties as well. I feel like it's a great blood vessel tonic, whether we're talking about the hips, and I kind of feel like the petals are as well. I will use the hips in formulas also for people with eye issues, because it is, like I said, it's a good blood vessel tonic, and I just feel like it could be useful for supporting the health of the capillaries in the eyes. So when somebody has issues with their eyes, night vision stuff, that sucks, they don't see so well at night, or even weepy, irritated eyes, coming back to the allergies, I will turn to rose hips. So here we go, wild rose, Rosa woodsii, or woodsii.
Thanks for watching. As usual, if you have any questions or comments or experiences with any of these plants, feel free to share in the comments section. I read them all and respond to them all. And again, thanks for tuning in.